When to replace disc brake rotors. Rotors, rotors, rotors. There they are. Rotors, rotors, rotors. Doesn't matter if it's the 120, the 150 or any other make or model of vehicle. You need to know when to replace the disc brake rotors or you could be wasting more money. Have you got money to waste? Answer that question. Do you like going to work? How long extra do you want to stay at work to waste money on things that you don't need? Because if you didn't need them and you didn't waste the money, you wouldn't need to spend as much time at work and you could do something that actually gives you happiness and joy, things you like doing. Rotors, rotors, rotors. It's getting a bit rotor crazy here, isn't it? Hey everybody, Anthony, 4x4Ds, and we'll make this one short and sweet. Just a little bit of information about when and why you should or shouldn't replace your brake rotors. Obviously, I'm here to help, not here to sell you anything really. I'll just provide services and items that are hard for you to get somewhere else so that you can just get it right the first time, and everything that you can get elsewhere, like, you know, your oil and your oil filters and your air filters. I could have a website, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to help you. The things we provide are the things that are difficult to get from other people, and of course, other organizations, other businesses, you know, and you need the support, you need the community for some of these jobs, because it's just seemed proving impossible to get people to work on vehicles, in particular diesels, and get things right, or at least get it right the first time. You know, get it right the third time, fourth time, fifth time. No, not really. Anyway, okay, back to disc brake rotors, when to replace them. So everybody watching this video probably already knows that we've set up a deal with LSI Auto. I'll just quickly, a bit of background. Many years ago, look it on eBay, try some oil filters, pack of 10, delivered to your door, $92, genuine. Are they? Yes, they are. Anyway, I did that for years, told people about it, and then after a number of years, I went, you know what? I should contact these people and say, hey, how about a discount? I'll send people your way. Everybody's happy, right? So that's what we did. So lsiauto.com.au, and the discount code is 4B4-2023 or 4B4-2024. They both work. Put in whichever one you like. You'll just get another extra little small discount. Might cover your shipping maybe, you never know. Anyway, already good value for money, and they sell some genuine Toyota parts, generally cheaper than your Toyota dealer because they import it from other countries where things are cheaper. And just beware doing this and buying from companies that do this, because there's a lot of counterfeit stuff out there, so you need to be very careful. We still use and receive oil filters from them, which we can use and check and make sure the product's still the same. If anything changes, I'll let you know. That's why you subscribe and have the bell on, because if anything changes, and I think, don't go there, don't do that, this has happened, I want to be able to tell you. That's how you want to be connected. Okay, now let's get back to these rotors. So I don't want everybody to just go and buy rotors when you don't need them. Okay, why would you replace disc brake rotors? There's a couple of reasons. Okay, so firstly, let's rewind. So brakes, wear and tear items, rotors, yeah, pretty much wear and tear items as well. Depends what make and model, what brake pads, what country it was built for, what pads are in there, how much they grind the disc down. But on the Toyotas, generally, they don't grind the disc down. The genuine pads last ages. On these Prados quite regularly, we would see the rear pads lasting about 100,000 Ks, even longer with the genuines, and the front pads probably 50% again. Easy to get 150K out of them. If you look after them, you could get 200,000 K of them. But of course, if you go to the dealer, you probably get about 60,000 Ks out of them, because they tell you need pads when they're about half worn, and maybe you're a bit hard on the brakes. Combination thing, right? There's lots of variables there. A lot of people in a hurry. Go, go, go! They hit the gas, they take off the lights, another red light on the anchors again. Well, that's what wears out your brake pads. That's what creates a lot of extra heat, makes the whole situation more dangerous than it needs to be. So just take it easy, slow down, look ahead, and plan ahead a bit. Take a bit of time to concentrate on your driving, and you can save some brakes as well, and maybe your life or somebody else's. So brake pads, they wear out. They're definitely wear and tear items. When they get down to probably about 20% left is an absolute, yep, replace them. So it doesn't mean you're about to die, but as the pads gets lower, they get hotter and they wear quicker when they're hotter, long story short. So at the start, they're gonna last longer than at the end, and they wear unevenly a little bit. So 30% is probably your magic number. A lot of places will tell you when the meat gets down to the thickness of the backing plate, that's when to replace them. But your pads might have 8, 9, 10 mil of meat and a 5 mil backing plate or something like that, for example, which means you replace some pads when they're 30%, 40% worn. So I'll always push towards the 70% worn. something along those lines. So that means, you know, about 2/3 worn, there's 1/3 left. That's around about a good time to probably replace them. If you're on a trip, you're still going to get another 10,000 Ks because you're not using your brakes. You're out on the highway, open road. Keep that in mind. That's where a lot of people's brakes will last longer. 200,000 Ks out of genuine, piece of cake, because you're doing all these highway Ks. Just the same as you could do your oil every 30,000 Ks because you've done an average speed of 90 Ks an hour instead of 30 Ks an hour. Think about it, good people. Engine hours. Anyway, back on topic. So I'll have to cover the brake pads and how they wear and that sort of thing. Cheaper pads might seem cheaper, but they're actually dearer. Does that make sense? No? Just some people onto it already because they watch the videos, they listen, they learn, or they were wise already. Yep, cheaper pads. So let's say the genuine pads are 120 bucks, cheaper from LSI, something like that anyway. Let's just throw numbers out there. Let's say you could get some cheap pads for half the price, 60 bucks. But if they wore out quicker than, you know, twice as fast or 3 times faster, then it wasn't cheaper, was it? You do some sums, basic mathematics. So genuine pads, they're quiet, okay? They last, they just work really well. You know, the Toyota OE, what they've designed to put in the vehicle, it just works really well. I think they're great value for money. There's some other cheap brake pads you can get cheaper that are okay as well. But a lot of stuff, like a lot of people had problems with the Bendix rear pads wearing out really quickly. And of course, those bog holes, mud, sand, dirt, it's like sandpaper, wears them down. So let's move. That's a bit about the pads, how long you can expect them to last. It's not really simple. It's a matter of life and death. So it is kind of simple until you get it wrong. Like people put pads in back to front. They forget to tighten up bolts. They forget clips. They forget to close brake bleeder nipples. They forget to do up wheel nuts and torque them up, and all sorts of things get forgotten. So it becomes dangerous because as soon as the wheel comes off, it's dangerous, right? Because something could get forgotten, particularly if it's brakes and bolts getting left loose and that sort of thing, and pads going in backwards. I mean, brake pads in backwards, yep, the metal side on the rotor and the lining back towards the piston, yeah. You can have a laugh if you like, but that is what happens sometimes. Okay, so if you're replacing your pads, you have to replace your rotors. The answer is no. Now, if you're replacing your pads, do you have to machine your discs? The answer is no. Some people are going to go, oh yeah, you know, you've got to machine your discs when you replace your pads. Well, you know, at the end of the day, in a perfect world, if it's a race car and you want 100% effective, efficient, bang, contact surface straight away, and you need absolute performance, then the answer is yes. But if you're in this nanny state, or country, or the world where there's all these slow speed limits and you can lucky even get to the damn speed limit of 60 Ks because these people are dawdling along at 40 and 50 kilometers an hour, or, you know, you're trying to in an 80 zone, you can't even get to 60. Like, I'm sure you're feeling me, right? You know, it's just hopeless out there, absolutely hopeless. You're not using much brakes. It's not really going to matter. Your brakes are going to work, you know, so you got to take all these things into account. So with the Toyotas in general, and now it depends what make and model. If you've got, let's say, these, you know, European spec brakes, whatever, where the rotors are just harsh as black dust, they chew into the rotor. When you replace your pads, 30,000 Ks, you replace your rotors, $2,000 later, you know, genuine parts. So beware of that. But with these Toyotas and a lot of other makes and models, they wear really well. You can see right there, genuine pads, they're clean, they're free of dust. The pads last ages, the rotors last ages, they generally don't get wear in them. They might get a stone in there and get a score line in the rotor. That doesn't really matter. If you drive like a maniac and get them hot, you could crack them. That would be a reason to replace rotors, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the biggest reason that you're going to want to machine rotors is because somebody told you you've got to do that when you replace your brakes. And what else? This is what I'll say is, and I know it takes some time for me to spit it out, doesn't it? At the end of the day, if you've got smooth braking in your Toyota Prado, for example, that's what we've got in front of us here, so let's be specific, or any other make and model generally, if you've got smooth braking and you look at your disc rotor and it looks fairly flat, you know, like these ones, you can't see them in the picture, we'd have to get up close, but if they look fairly flat, then you can put in a set of pads and not do anything else. Now, there's always a chance there was a slight bit of disc thickness variation, which causes pulsation or shuddering. You know, you put your foot on the brake and it shudders, shakes in the steering to the front. You might feel it at the seat of your pants, you know, if it's the rear or a bit of a combo, whatever. That's brake shuddering or brake pulsation caused by DTV, disc thickness variation. Okay, so, but long story short, you know, let's just say the disc was probably never made properly, 100% no run out in the first place. So once it's in service, that's driving down the road, it gets worse. It can't do anything, but once the run out's there, it can only get worse in service, right? So something's bad, you're using it, just gets worse. So if you want to get rid of that pulsation, there's two things you can do. You can machine the rotors. Do you need to worry about the minimum thickness of the rotors when you're changing pads? No. If you look at them and you know that you've just acquired a vehicle, you know something dodgy's gone down, then that's different. But if you've owned the vehicle and you go, I'm just going to chuck a set of pads in it, you don't need to be mucking around checking what's the minimum thickness of the disc? Do I need to measure, and do I need this and that? No, you don't need to do anything. And if you're going to machine them, you're going to take it to a professional that does the machining. You're not going to do it. Either you're a professional or you're taking it to one. That's their job to make sure they're not below the minimum thickness once they're machined. Okay, so if they're let's say the normal brand new size is 32 mil and the minimum was 29, and usually there's 2 or 3 mil difference between you and minimum thickness. That's all there is in it. And when they machine, they take bugger all off anyway if they know what they're doing, unless you've got these rubbish rotors that have got heaps chewed out of them and they're just bin job scrap metal anyway, right? And that's where the rotors come in. So you don't need to replace them. You don't need to machine them. If you've got brake pulsation, machining them will fix it, but it's often cheaper and easier just to go on lsiauto.com.au and grab your rotors. So when you're replacing your rotors is when you've got brake pulsation. You want smooth braking for safety. You want to be able to get the brakes applied and nice smooth speed reduction. You know what I mean? Not and of course, as more pressure goes on the brakes, more or less, it's not only not smooth, as the more pressure part comes up, that's where your tire's more likely to get close to that locking up, then your ABS is going to come in, then it's releasing again. You actually got an increased stopping distance. The vehicle's not as safe if you have brake, shudder, or pulsation current. That's where it's good to put the rotors in if you've got that, right? So if you're changing your pads, or if you've got brake, pulsation, or shuddering, then okay, you order your pads and rotors. It's good to put new pads in when you do rotors, but if you put new pads, this is what can happen sometimes, right? You go, oh no, the braking's smooth, no worries. Okay, well, let's just whack a set of pads in. You whack a set of pads in it, and because the new pads are nice and flat and new, they'll pick up on that high spot on the rotor. And as soon as you road test, it'll just happen every now and then. It won't be often. Usually you'll be right, but you'll go, oh, I can feel a pulsation or a shutting there now. Bugger. That's all right, that's fine. All you need to do is order those rotors or call in your disc machiner to machine them on the car is best. Get someone to come on site, you jack it up, you pull the wheels, take the calipers, you might have to drop a drive shaft, whatever, so that the machine can turn the wheel. Make sure they can turn the wheel by hand, then the machine can turn it. Otherwise, it's going to load up the machine and cause problems, right? So, which is, it sounds like a pain in the butt, doesn't it? That's why you just go and pay $60 a rotor for LSI and you just change the rotors, and it's put these guys out of business, poor buggers, you know, because they are cheap. But you know what? When you got rotors that cheap, at about $60 each, you just put the rotors on. So there's a whole procedure putting them on. You need to make things like clean and working right. This video is not about that. This was just the long video of me waffling, trying to explain to you in as maximum detail as always why you should not worry about the minimum thickness, because it doesn't concern you. You're just putting pads in. If you're machining, it's up to the professional. You can check their work if you like, but you'd be saying to them, hang on a minute, it's actually illegal for them to machine or give them back to you, you know, if they're undersized, that sort of thing, you know. I'm not sure exactly how the rules were. It was 20 years ago when I read it, but it was basically, yeah, it's illegal, or you can't machine the disc if it's going to be or end up below the minimum thickness, something along those lines, right? So let's just cut the whole machining thing out and go for new rotors, but you only need them if you've got brake pulsation. If you've got genuine Toyota rotors, braking smooth, just leave the bloody things there. Don't waste your money. It's time to stop working on the car and get yourself out there on a trip. Now, I hope I've covered everything. If I haven't, subscribe, turn the bell on, and somewhere on our Facebook groups, people will be asking questions, which gives me ideas to make videos to answer questions, but I like to do it in detail. I'd like to do it once and do it properly. I've just done about 13 minutes. Hopefully there's no questions from that. And if there is, go to the brakes playlist. We've got a playlist on our YouTube channel, 4x4 Diesel, all about brakes. Just go and watch all those videos, listen very carefully. And I'll remind you again, you only retain 10% of what you read and 10% of what you hear. So you need to go and watch those videos a lot of times to retain all the information you need. I can't give you over 3 decades of experience and training, or even go 4 decades almost, really, to be quite honest, because, you know, working on lawnmowers and bikes and whatever, it all started early, right? Motorbikes, you know, all the other stuff, jet skis, boats, outboards, inboards, and all that, right? So all that, been there, done that. And there's plenty of people that know more than me, but they're not doing what I'm doing. And if they are, have a listen to them as well. Get yourself educated, listen carefully, bada bing, because one day you're going to need to know how to do it yourself. You're not going to be able to just get someone that can do it. It's already having trouble getting things done right. It's not going to get any better. Catch you on the next video, people. See ya.